guys, it's your girl named Ling and we're back with another video. Feel me? Before I get into the video, I just want to thank you guys for getting me to 1.5k. I said I wanted that by the end of this month and y'all like got me there before the end of this month. So now the new goal is 1.6k. So make sure y'all tune in and hit that subscribe button if you're feeling real nice. Hit the bell too. Feel me? As you guys can tell from the title, I'm going to be giving y'all a little story time. If you hear thunder and rain in the back, I'm sorry. Like, I can't do nothing about the weather. But yeah, so every time I post on my Instagram like what videos y'all want to see, y'all always tell me that y'all want to hear story times, and it kind of takes me a minute to record them because I really don't have no good stories to tell y'all. Like, my life is boring. Like, I'm sorry. Also, like, I'm trying a new hairstyle. Like, I did a side part wash and go instead of the normal middle part I do. So if it look crazy, I'm sorry. You know, I was just trying to out. Feel me? So yeah. So yeah, as y'all saw from the title, I'm gonna be doing a story time. It's about like this weird like Uber driver in Albany. Now, before I get into the story, I just want to let y'all know that the reason we say like never travel alone, especially if you're a female, and if you are a female, don't just travel in like a pair, travel in like a group. Like, pack that car, be multiple of y'all. Don't ever let it be like just one or two. Like, two is good, better than nothing. But if you could travel in an even bigger group, travel with a bigger group. If you could travel with boys, travel with boys. Like, just always be safe, never go anywhere by yourself. Okay, my phone ran out of storage before I could like even finish my sentence. Okay, but yeah, let me get into my story. So it was like December, and me and my roommate, as you guys know, her name is Vicky, we had decided like we wanted to go ice skating. And this was before winter break. Like, before winter break. So we just had like a big snowstorm, like to the point Albany even canceled class, I think that Thursday and that Friday, or like just that Friday. So we was like, you know what, like, let's go ice skating. Mind you, we didn't even think, oh, we just had a big snowstorm, like, let me even see if they're open. We just searched up the address and went. So we saw like a group of people like that we knew go before us. Like, they had already called their Uber, and it was like a big group of them, so we couldn't even fit in the car. But they had went, and they was like, yeah, we're going ice skating, like, we'll see y'all there. So I guess they made it there and they realized like it wasn't open, and they went back to campus. But they never told us. Like, I think Vicky called them and they didn't pick up the phone, they didn't answer. So we were just like, okay, like, they might be ice skating already, like, let's just go. So we call an Uber, whatever, and he gets there. And so we're getting in the car, and like as we're getting in the car, like Vicky like checks the back seat, because it was like one of those cars where it's like there's the 2 front seats, the 3 seats in the middle, and then the trunk is like one of those like open space trunks. So she just checked back there to make sure there was nobody back there, because she had heard like, you know, people be laying back there, and then when you sit down they stab you in your neck, you know, put drugs in you, knock you out. So she was just like being precautious, you know. Anyways, so she checks back there, make sure nobody's back there. So we're driving or whatever, and as we're driving, he was like, so first of all, whenever I get in an Uber, I always say like, oh, what's my name? Or like I'd be like, what's my name? And then they tell me my name, and I'd be like, okay, this is my cab. Like, I always check, you know, the license plates and everything, but still, just to make sure that I'm in the right one, or like, you know, somebody's not trying to act like an Uber, I always say like, what's my name? And then they tell me my name, and I get in. So he's driving, and as he's driving, he's like, oh, so where are we going, ladies? And it's like, so you know where we're going, like, why are you asking us that question? So we're like, oh yeah, we're going to the ice skating rink. And he was like, oh, okay, but maybe, you know, as an Uber driver, he just wants to make sure like we didn't scam an Uber ride or whatever. So I could understand it, but it still was just kind of weird to me, because normally when I take Ubers, they never ask me like, oh, where are we going? Like, they already know where we're going. So the whole time he's like, oh, so like, are you guys from around here? And we're like, no, like, we just go to Albany, but we don't live in Albany. And he's like, oh, so where you guys from? And I'm like, oh, we're from the city. And then he starts asking me stuff about the city, and he was like, oh yeah, so you want to go ice skating because there's not really a lot of ice skating rinks in the city, right? And I'm like, no, there's plenty of ice skating rinks in the city, like ice skating rinks that, you know, convert to roller skating rinks. So I'm like, no, there's plenty in the city, but I think the only one he brought up was like Central Park or like Rockefeller, since like one of them downtown, but like that was like the only one he knew. And I'm like, no, there's a lot, but okay. And I don't remember the exact questions that he was asking after that, but it was just weird. Like, he was really trying to like figure us out, so to the point that we just like, we were answering, but we were answering in like very vague ways that like we wasn't really giving him the answer he was looking for. It was just like, I don't know, like, it was just answers that he couldn't really pick up anything from. Like, he couldn't really get any information out of it. Like, always answer questions like that, never let them know too much information. Like, we already made the first mistake of saying that we're not really around here, but I think he confused that with as, okay, they may not know their whereabouts or the area, so I can do whatever I want. So he's just like asking these questions, and me and my roommate just looking at each other like, what's going on? So she's looking at his GPS, And then she also had it like pulled up on her phone, so I'm just looking around, whatever, because it was nighttime. I'm not gonna lie, it was dark, but you know, in the wintertime it gets dark early, so it wasn't like 11 o'clock at night, but it was dark outside. So I'm just looking, watching stuff pass by. And also, here's another thing: if you are gonna ride in an Uber with just two of y'all, one of y'all sit on one side, so like here's the driver in the front, right? Somebody sits here and somebody sits behind the driver. Preferably the bigger person sit behind the driver. This way, if the driver want to try something, this is what I be telling people. If I'm ever in the car with an Uber driver and they try something, best believe I'm gonna put them in a headlock. Like if I'm sitting in an Uber by myself, I'm sitting behind the driver. So if you want to try something, he's gonna really have to turn around. By the time he turns around, like you know, like put them in a headlock. That way, you know, they gonna try to drive or do whatever, and you gonna just be choking them out. And then you open that door and you run, feel me? So Vicky like shows me her phone and she was like, Naomi, like, oh, I just saw some light. I chose the worst time to record, oh my god. Anyways, so she's like showing me Google Maps and she was like, Naomi, we're going the wrong way. Like, it was like, it wasn't that we were going the wrong way, but it was just like he was slowing down and we were like really far from where we were supposed to be. So he like pulls over to like some place that's closed, like I think it was like a Raymore Flanagan or something, or like some type of furniture shop, and it was just an empty parking lot. But it wasn't like a back parking lot, like it's in the middle of nowhere. It was like on the main street, it just was empty. So he pulls over and he was like, oh, we're here. So we're looking around, we're like, sir, this is not it. Like there's no ice skating rink. Do you see an ice skating rink? Because I don't see an ice skating rink, like where this is not it. He was like, oh well, this is where it brought me. So me and Vicky looking at her GPS like, yo bro, like if we're using the same GPS, like how come yours is taking you somewhere different from what ours is saying? So right next to the Raymore and Flanagan there's a gas station. So he drives up to the gas station and me and Vicky both get out because Vicky's like, oh, I'm gonna get a snack. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna come with you. So we didn't realize, I thought the guy was getting gas, but we didn't realize like he was walking into the place behind us. So we go inside and we ask like the cashier, whatever, like, oh, do you know of a ice skating rink? And he was like, yeah, it's like up there a little bit more, whatever. So we're like, okay. So then the guy walks in behind us and he asks the guy the same question. He was like, oh, do you like know where the ice skating rink is? And he was like, yeah, it's that way. Like he points to the right. He's like, go straight up, like just keep going straight the direction you're already going, like you're gonna see it. So we get back in the car. Mind you, I already have my pepper spray ready because at this moment I'm not even finna play with this guy. Like whenever I get into Uber, I always have it ready just in case. But now, like at this point, I really was not playing with him because I'm like, all right, you didn't even see an ice skating rink. You didn't even tell us that you was gonna pull up to the gas station. Like you just started driving again. Like communicate what you're doing with us because we're two females, you're a whole male. Like he was some short fat male. Like so that's why I didn't really feel intimidated. But at the same time, I don't want to put nothing past nobody. You feel me? So I'm like, you need to tell us what you're doing. Like it's at night, you're just a guy, like you need to tell us like what. Yo, this rain is loud, I'm so sorry y'all. So we get back in the car, he's like, okay, like I'm gonna drive straight up, whatever. And when he gets back onto like the regular main road, instead of him going straight the way the guy told him to go, he makes a U-turn and starts going a different direction. So we're like, where are you going? Like what are you doing that you're going in all these wrong directions? So he pulls into like a motor vehicle shop and there was people inside and I guess they were closed, but like when he knocked on the door, like they opened the door and they were just like, can I help you? And he was like, oh, do you know where the ice skating rink is? And I guess they told him no. So he got back and he drove like to the next parking lot, but the parking lot was like empty and it was like, we were like, sir, what are you doing? Like, where are you taking us? And he was like, oh, like I'm just trying to look for it. Like, sir, that's not what you do. Like when you're driving people around, when you're driving strangers around specifically and young females, you cannot just be pulling into random dark parking lots where the store is closed and there's nobody there because we're gonna feel some type of way. So I pulled like, I don't even know where my pepper spray thing is at right now. But basically my pepper spray has like a little like holder. And normally the button is really hard to take off. Like I literally can never get the button off. But in that situation, I literally broke it. Like I broke the snap off. Like I can't close it. So the pepper spray is just lingering around in my bag. Like I'm really scared that one day I'm gonna spray myself by accident because it's not in the case no more. But I literally broke it and I was holding it in my hand. And I was like, where are you taking us? Like let us out. Vic was like, sir, you could just let us out. And as he was like giving me a turn back on the main road, like it was like, here's a back alley and here's the main road. And it kind of looked like the car was going this way a little bit, but then he turned that way. But I don't know. All I know is that Vicky was like, let us out. And I was like, like unlock the door, like let us out. So he was like, oh, are you guys sure? Like you don't know where you're going? And I was like, no, we're good. And then we got out. Mind you, y'all, it's like 3 or 4 feet of snow outside. Like it's mad snow. So we're not within walking distance of campus, we're not within walking distance of the ice skating rink. Like, we're not in the middle of nowhere, like we're on the main road, like there's people outside. It's just that it's like we're not near anything that we want to be near. So Vicky goes back to Google Maps and she searches up where the ice skating rink is, and we start walking. Mind you, y'all, this is like a 20-minute walk, and we're just walking and walking and walking, and I felt like the car was following. So I'm like, oh, Vicky, like, I think that's his car. And she was like, no, that's not his car, that's not his car. But when it's going by, part of me just like, I felt it. I'm like, no, that looks like his car. Like, I didn't remember the license plate number. Like, I could have easily went back on Lyft and looked at it, but I didn't. Like, it was cold outside, like I was not about to do that. But I was like, no, like, I think that's his. Anyways, I was like, no, like, I honestly think that's his car. So after like 10 minutes of trucking it through this high snow, to the point I was so hot I unzipped my coat. Mind you, it's freezing outside. I was like, you know what, like, is there even really worth going to this ice skating rink? So finally we're walking and he pulls back up, and I guess he thinks like we didn't get a good look at his face or his car, we didn't know it was him. But he was like, oh, like, hey ladies, like, where y'all going? Like, I could give y'all a ride, I'm an Uber driver. And we're like, no, like, leave us alone. He was like, are y'all sure? Like, y'all look like y'all struggling, like, just get in, like, I'll drive you. And I'm like, no, like, you're not driving this, like, go away. So he drives off or whatever, and we don't see the car after that. And by the time we get there, like, we get to like where the Google Maps brought us to, it brought us to like a building that was like under construction. Now at the time we didn't realize that the ice skating rink was like across the street, but you kind of had to walk up. Like, it's not an obvious ice skating rink. Like, there's like basically like a park area in front of the ice skating rink. I don't know how to describe it. Like, it's like a trailway basically to the ice skating rink. So even though the whole block is the ice skating rink, it just has like a lot of nature around it, so you don't really know it's the ice skating rink if you've never been there before during the day. So at the time we thought that it brought us to the wrong address, but looking back now that I've actually been to the ice skating rink, I was like, oh wow, like, it really was across the street. But Google Maps was like kind of wrong. Like, it was saying it was on the side of the street that we were on, when really it was across the street and like up the block a little bit. So mind you, we're just looking around, we're tired. Like, Vicky has snow filled to her, like, Vicky has snow all in her boots. Like, I'm tired and sweating, my legs hurt, and like we're kind of soaking wet now because I think it started snowing again. And we're like, you know what, like, let's just go back because we can't find the ice skating rink. Who knows where this guy is driving at right now? Like, let's just go back. So we're looking for a bus, and by the time we find a bus stop, because we saw like a police officer, we were just like, oh, like, you know where the nearest bus is? And he was like, yeah, like, just walk up the block and you'll see it. So we're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and all the buses that are passing us by are literally out of service, and they're like express and they're not stopping. So we look on like Google Maps or whatever just to like get an idea, and it's like the buses that's telling us to take, like, they're really not stopping. So we walk to the next bus stop that I think was like for a different bus, and finally a bus comes. We get on the bus and Vicky asks us like, oh, does this take us to Collins Circle? And he's like, yes. So we're on the bus for like a good 30 minutes, and Vicky was like, yo bro, we're past our school. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, he said it takes us to Collins Circle. He didn't stop at Collins Circle. And so she asked the bus driver again, and he was like, oh, like, I thought you said Collins Center or like something like that, or Colony Center or something. That's like a, I don't know what it is, to be honest, but that's what he heard. So, but honestly, I don't think that's what he heard. I think he just heard like Collins. So he said yes before Vicky could even finish her sentence. So she was like, let's get off the bus. So by the time we got off the bus, like, I don't know if we was in Schenectady or we was somewhere, but like, it was freezing cold. We were in front of like a, I think it was like it was like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it wasn't a hospital, it wasn't a doctor's office, but it was something medical related, I believe. And we were just standing there like literally huddled together because it was freezing cold. And now I think it was like 10 or 11 o'clock, and we were calling lifts and they was not showing up. Like, literally, like, there was no lifts around. So I had to call somebody back in Albany, and I'm like, listen, because I knew a couple people with a car, so I'm like, I'll give you money, like, can you just come get us? But then that person, like, he didn't have his car on campus at the time. Like, something had happened, so I don't know if he was in a car accident or whatever, but he didn't have it. So I called somebody else, and I'm like, listen, can you call like an Uber for us, please? Like, I'll give you the money, like, because I'm trying to call it from my phone. And I don't know if it's because I canceled so many Uber rides like after like we got out of that guy's car. So like they just weren't sending any to me, but I was like, this is our location, like please send us one. And then within like 3 minutes the Uber came and got us, and he was like literally so nice. And we were just driving back, and it was like literally a blizzard. Like it started snowing again. Like we was on the highway was like pitch black. It was snow everywhere. Like it just looked so dangerous. And when we got back to the room, we was just like, yeah, no, like never again. And the reason we were so scared is because like for literally 2 weeks before that, me and Vicky both kept having the same dream of like us getting kidnapped, or like a man taking us, or us going missing. And so that because we kept having the exact same dream, well, like not the exact same dream, but like the same concept of our dream, basically, it was just kind of weird. And her mother is big on like speculations like that, and I kind of am too, not gonna lie, that like when you have dreams constantly about something, like that means like you're in danger, or it's trying to give you a signal. So we felt like that was our signal, like something was gonna happen, and that was it. So we were just more alert at the time than if we didn't have that dream. But yeah, it was just really mad. We was just like, you know, we're not going nowhere else. Like no more ice skating rinks, nothing, none of that, like, because that was too much. Like literally it was just so weird. Like there's probably details I'm missing, but it was just so weird. Like if you come to Albany, just be careful. Like you can't have no taser, but you can have pepper spray. Like it's legal to have pepper spray on campus, so make sure you have pepper spray, a little pocket knife or something to defend yourself. And you know, always travel with somebody. Don't ever travel by yourself. Like I've never taken an Uber by myself, and I never will. I always take it with my friends, and if I don't have nobody to take it with me, then I will get right on that bus, feel me? But like I never go anywhere by myself. Don't travel too late. Don't try to be outside too late, you know, trying to be grown. But yeah, just always be safe, feel me? Like that's the main goal. Like always be safe. And also always send somebody your location. Like my friends that I have in Albany, we all have our locations on, and just so like if something happens, like, okay, my phone completely cut off, so honestly I don't even remember what I was talking about when it did. But all I know is that I was at the end of the story. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to please show some love, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Comment any new video ideas you have, whether it's about Albany or just, you know, random video, feel me? Also, if you feeling the hair or if you're not feeling the hair, you know, comment it down below, you know, because like I have mixed feelings about it. Like I like it, but then I also don't like it, so I don't really know. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.